Welcome everyone to the Galactica Corecast, a space for every present, future, and every citizen, every citizen of the Galactica Network to have some fun, chat with the team, and learn everything you need to know about the very first cipher state. Now, before we start, it is very important to remember that myself, Sarvodaya, guest speaker Victor, and any team members that do come up on stage, we are your guides to navigating the cipher state, but we are not your financial advisors. In addition, all guest speakers' opinions or visiting speakers' opinions are their own, and nothing said in this space constitutes financial or investment advice. So now we have that out the way, let's go around our panel, introduce ourselves. Please, my name is Citizen42 within the Cipher State. Dave, to anyone who wishes to call me that. And today we have our co-founder, Sarvodaya. If you could just introduce yourself, my friend.
Yeah, easy. I mean, I guess I've been on these spaces a couple of times, so I'm going to be very fast. I happen to be the co-founder of Galactica.com. Background in econometrics. I have been working in a couple of prop shops. And yeah, basically in DeFi since 2020. Big proponent of everything cyberpunk. Anything that is sovereign and yet not a part of a nation state. So yeah, I guess that should do.
Of course, it's always enough. All right, and we also have Victor from Humanode.
Hey,
please, my friend.
Hello everybody. I'm well, I was a co-founder, but now I'm core contributor to Humanode because nothing is financial advice anymore. And well, I have background in economics and like IT businessman since 2013, but have been in crypto for the last 7 years full time. And yeah, we're here to bring you finally true decentralization of protocols on chain, unlike those plutocracies we have right now. And hope we'll do that together with Galactica in our own ways. Hey, hello everybody.
No doubt, Victor. No doubt. Those are the goals and those are the dreams. We're gonna do it. All right, guys. So one more time, please drop down into the comments, give us a like and a retweet. And right, what we're going to do is we're going to start with the first segment of the show, which is our crypto news roundup. So on with the news. Binance just can't seem to catch a break this week. Today, the top crypto exchange by volume announced its departure from the Netherlands after a failed bid to obtain the Virtual Asset Service Provider status, or VASP. It's a license required to operate in the country. They couldn't do it, unfortunate. In addition, it was also announced only hours ago that Binance was now under investigation for so-called aggravated money laundering due to the alleged advertisement of its services in France, before it was registered with the French financial market regulator. In other news, BlackRock, one of the largest global asset managers, has submitted an application for a Bitcoin spot exchange traded fund. This could be big if it actually goes through. The proposed ETF is believed to have a greater chance of success than previous attempts at it. Due to the inclusion of a surveillance sharing agreement between exchanges, which would allow for the sharing of information about market trading activity, clearing activity, in addition to customer identification, thus allowing little possibility of market manipulation, one of the main issues that the SEC has brought up with previous attempts. In Galactica-related news, the Cipher State campaign is steaming ahead, with several of our listeners actually attaining the rank of Ghost in the Chain. These pioneers in the Cipher State have already secured their right to participate in Wave 3 of distribution for the Galactica Network citizenship. I've talked about these passports before. They are a fundamental aspect of Galactica Network, and they have value in our ecosystem, and we couldn't recommend it more that you jump into the Cipher State campaign. So congratulations to everyone. Everyone who hasn't already done this, make sure you join the Discord and start working through the Zeely quests that are part of the Cipher State campaign. In addition, we have had a wonderful tech development from the team over at MetaMask. They have announced that the release plan for their plugin feature called Snaps. It is currently under audit, and it's planned to be shipped with a stable version of MetaMask in September. So this is the MetaMask plugin or MetaMask feature that allows us to have a like self-sovereign zero-knowledge wallet, zero-knowledge wallet custody. So it's a huge feature. It's something that will be fundamental for Galactica in the future, and we're very thankful for MetaMask. And that was your news today, everyone. Thank you very much for that. Okay, guys. So before we move on, I was just going to ask perhaps Mike or Victor, do you have any comment on any of the news today?
Victor, you want to start, bro? Should I?
Yeah, well, frankly speaking, nothing surprising. We've seen this stuff happening over the last years, over and over again. Just if BlackRock passes this ETF, oh my God! I mean, this will be really, really bad. There were companies who were trying to do that for 5-6 years, and if BlackRock does that in the first try, well, we know that you can trust US even more than we don't trust right now.
Do you like ESG Bitcoin, bro?
Well, don't use centralized stuff, guys, please. I mean, you can do it.
Yeah, that's actually like quite a good comment. So basically, there is nothing worse than a parody of Bitcoin, and basically anything ETF to some extent is a parody of Bitcoin. Clearly, you will have the infusions of volume and liquidity on the spot side anyway. If this thing is approved, then it's going to give a lot of green lights all over the world to a lot of institutions, and it's going to benefit us financially, I guess, but not ideologically, I guess.
Yeah. A lot of countries who didn't have like bottom-up adoption, like I don't know, Argentina or Turkey. Well, if they have, I would say, top-bottom adoption, well, they will never own their keys, probably.
And you always should. What about TetherFat, Victor? You've been in the space for a long time, I guess. So how many times
well, usually
Tether is gonna fall?
usually TetherFat comes when there is no FAT to generate for those who want it in the market. So it's a good sign that the FAT will be over soon.
It's always the last thing, isn't it? It's always the last thing to be flooded, right?
Yes, it was among some of the fundamental triggers in some of the fundamental market strategies that we have been developing. TetherFat is quite indicative, yes, and it always comes at the end. Well, I mean, after Luna, it came kind of like at the end of anything that would resemble a bull market. So basically, nothing good happened afterwards. But yeah, it's always like at the ends of market cycles. The last weapon of last resort.
Yeah, when they've got nothing left to do. Okay, guys, great stuff. I think it's probably time for a very quick reset of the space just after the news segment before we move on to the bulk of our show today, which will be with discussing a few important items with Victor. So let's go. So currently you are listening to the Galactica Corecast, your weekly broadcast direct from the Cypher State of Galactica Network. Make sure you join our Discord server and sign up for the Cypher State campaign to earn your place amongst our earlier citizens. Leave a like and a retweet in the comments below. And if you wish, it would be a good time to request to speak because we're not going to have a huge amount of time to get you guys up. So if you want to ask a question of Victor or of Sarvodaya, then please just request to speak and I will filter through the requests as I can. Just be aware that you won't be able, if you speak out of turn, then we will have to drop you down. This is a bit of a moderated space, but we'll try and get as many questions in as we can. Okay, guys. So for the first segment, what we're going to do, I'd just like to have a little bit of introduction with Victor. So welcome, firstly, to the Galactica Corecast, Victor. It's great to have you with us for the first time. Wonderful to have you here.
Same here.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this is great. So perhaps we can start off with a little bit about you, your journey into how you got to this point as heading up the Humanode project.
Well, this story is pretty straightforward but long. I mean, we've been in crypto since early days. I would say we will go to crypto full time with my founders in 2015, when Ethereum became a thing and smart contracts became a reality. Not just some ghost chains that we had before that, like Omni, if you remember that stuff that Tether was on. And
I'm still using it, bro.
okay. I mean, 51% attack would be really cheap there. And we have been heavily involved in proof of stake market since the first proof of stake networks emerged as validators and governors, and we've seen this stuff inside out. Because once you become one of the 15 major validators, you enter private chats where the biggest validators, well, if you look at Nakamoto coefficient, which tells you how many actually validators you need in order to hold the chain operations or decide anything in the blockchain governance, you would see that it ranges from 4 validator nodes in Polygon to 30 in Avalanche, which is probably right now the most decentralized proof of stake network, because we can't count this in Ethereum, unfortunately. Probably it's even lower in Ethereum, actually. And well, basically these are closed clubs that govern our blockchains between themselves, like few for-profit entities deciding everything what's going on. And while crypto tech is really decentralized, you can fork it, you can use it anywhere without even having a bank account or a citizenship of any national state. Eventually, the decision making and the validation power is in the hands of few for-profit entities, which is not much better than what we have right now in our traditional financial system. And it became clear to us in 2017. However, we had no idea how to fix it and to limit the power of a validator in the network or like a governor in the DAO. And it came to our mind that, well, biometrics made a huge leap in 2020 in terms of accuracy of comparing people to one another. This is one part, so that we could prove you're unique human. Another part is liveness detection, because we can prove during 10-second video session that you're a real human being, not a bot, not a mask, not a deep fake. And at the same time, we understood that, well, cryptography is here for a long time. We can make all these things private so that nobody knows who you are. And that's how Humanode came out in 2020. And we shipped the mainnet 2 years later. So we're now on mainnet for 6 months, working stable without any interruptions like Solana had or any other chain you could take in their first half a year of operation. And yeah, we're more decentralized than any proof of stake network you can find, despite the fact that we just have 300 validators. Yeah, that's the long story short, and I will delve into more details later, because we're not only bringing Sybil resistance to ourselves, but we're ready to share it with others.
Absolutely, Victor. Absolutely, and we're looking forward to talking about that.
Let me just hop in, just maybe ask a couple of questions from Victor. Victor, what do you think about restaking protocols, bro? I mean, in your whole pitch about decentralization, I guess that's one of the fundamental bricks in the wall of re-centralization, if I could put it this way.
Well, yeah, liquid staking. First of all, they created huge pools where you can stake without even launching your node, despite the fact that in Ethereum, everybody was supposed to launch a node. But now we have a few exchanges and Lido who hold all the actual validation power in their hands, in their software, in their servers. This is one thing. Another thing is that, staking as a security system was supposed to kind of make the asset more valuable, because you would hold on to it by locking it, and now you don't have to lock it anymore. And I'm not sure if there is any point in staking anymore.
I'm actually very curious about at all, whether there is some good game theoretical analysis of all of these things, because Vitalik has recently released this So in anticipation of the agent layer launching, he released this article. Unfortunately, I don't recall the name at the moment, but basically saying that restaking is basically fucking with the system economics and with the system incentives, and basically the consequences of restaking things getting actually wide adoption are completely unpredictable and basically can mess up the system and most importantly the whole incentive game that as we all know all the crypto economic systems rely on. So the restaking stuff is especially interesting thing. Of how it changes the economics of the system anyway. So another thing I just wanted to ask you, Victor, maybe it would be like somewhat useful if you could explain the Sybil resistance concept, because it's the thing which makes lots of people like a bit confused.
Yeah, that's right.
So defining Sybil resistance.
Sometimes even founders of crypto companies don't know what Sybil resistance is, and basically it's a long problem in computer science, which is you can create multiple accounts or multiple servers in the network in order to subvert the ranking system and pretend as if you are like several actors or like hundreds or millions of actors, and basically ruin the whole game. So it comes from the Sybil. I think it was a book written about a girl who had 20-something different identities in her head. And yeah, basically Sybil attack is when you're trying to cheat the system by pretending you're more than one person, because, well, the systems are built in a way like that they want to have per human distribution, but they can't have it because they can't figure out if there is one person behind one account or not. And yeah, we and Galactica both are trying to deal with this problem, because kind of Bitcoin is it was supposed to be Sybil resistant because, well, but it's based on capital, so it's like $1 one vote, I would say, or one Bitcoin one vote, for example, if you take proof of stake systems. But it's all capital based, and it's more like not Sybil resistance but Sybil acceptance, just because you choose capital as the means to fight the real Sybil attack that tries to conquer your system. And we think
more like 1 kilowatt, right? 1 kilowatt, 1 volt.
Yes, exactly.
If you're talking about Bitcoin.
Well, actually, usually mining pools have all the power because they give you the software to use, so it's even worse. Yeah, and we're here finally figured out that we can do it better than just Sybil acceptance, but bring real Sybil resistance per human distribution. I would call it like that.
Yeah, Favor, I see you are raising your hand, so you can go, bro.
Hi, hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Hi.
Yeah, thank you. So I was going to your website and I really I'm really impressed about the project. So the question that came to mind was like how has the experience and the background of the project, the team projects, help in the development and progress of the project so far?
You're asking what are the different approaches to this problem tackled by other projects, right?
No, I'm more like asking about the background and experience of the team, how it has helped in the growth of the project.
Well, there is actually a lot of things you can do when you have real Sybil resistance, and what you can figure out there is like a real unique human behind one account. We can start from the basics, which is governance. As you know, it's all like token based right now. If you look at, for example, Uniswap voting, it's all like governed by VCs and founders of Uniswap. And I think they are still in the closed chats or even personal meetings decide which, for example, network will be supported by Uniswap next. It actually becomes a problem, first of all, because of voter apathy, and normal people who don't have a lot of capital, they don't have their voice in decentralized networks that are based just on token-based voting. But it goes even further, and we've seen a lot of attacks on decentralized organizations when you can just borrow a lot of tokens in 1 hour and just put a proposal, vote for your proposal, and, for example, transfer all the funds of the DAO to your own wallet. This is a real problem right now. It's not just the voter apathy, but this is the end to the project. Just one of the examples. I mean, there will be a lot of benefits like one person, one vote, or hybrid systems, for example, that we could do with Sybil resistance, or alternatively, we could fix DeFi a little bit, because you have seen that when the project launches its liquidity pool to reward its community and users, if they lock their tokens in liquidity pool in the decentralized exchange, the guys like Alameda just come, put a lot of capital in the first months of the project existence and reap all the rewards while the community is left with nothing. So essentially, the crypto space can become more capital efficient for regular users than just for the guys with like most of capital.
Yeah, so basically, maybe I can add a bit as well, just real quick. So in terms of the governance systems, maybe one of the most instructive examples that I have, thought of is that imagine the complexity of the most sophisticated governance mechanisms that we have in traditional world, basically being the governance frameworks of nation states, right? So basically the parliaments, sovereign funds, pretty much all the other varying from country to country primitives that we have invented as humankind to govern nation states. So now compare this to a regular DAO. So basically DAO is also presumably a political primitive, and you can see that basically the complexity and like how meticulously it was designed, in a sense, of a nation-state governance system is so much different from that of a DAO, where you just have most basic, trivial one token, one vote systems. So a good question would be why. I mean, clearly you have some improvements upon one token, one vote systems, but most of them boil down to just that. And a good question is why. And basically the absence of Sybil resistance in the regular pseudonymous networks is the answer. And if somebody was wondering why we have such basic governance systems in crypto, and why instead of the actual democracy and inclusion and other promises that have come together with decentralized technologies, we have hyper-financialized dystopias, where the retail people most of the time are getting rolled over by more capital-intensive entities, let me put it this way. So the answer is Sybil resistance. That I guess is one thing, and maybe another instructive example, which some of you might enjoy, I guess, is the fact that the same way like Bitcoin has resolved the double spend problem, this is also a Sybil resistance, but on a transactional level. So, and in order for us to create more elaborate social primitives on chain and basically replicate more and more sophisticated entities from real world in blockchains, apart from just DeFi or some other weird applications, we need to solve for Sybil resistance at the human level. So basically, and this is what, for example, Humanode as well as Galactica are doing, although in different ways, but with the same goal.
There you go, guys. So essentially, if we trying to say this in as simple possible way we can, Sybil resistance enables you to determine who is a human, which is the primary thing you want to do if you want to build something that is socially based rather than financially based. And that's basically that really is the next paradigm of blockchain, at least in my opinion, and probably in Sarv's, I imagine.
I can't agree more.
Absolutely fantastic. So this is exactly what we're trying to do at Galactica Network, trying to get this this entirely social layer of blockchain, like actual representations of humans on chain, and able to transact in a both private and compliant manner. So obviously we'll get into more on that later, I'm sure, if not in this podcast, then in another one. So I think we'll just pop back over to Victor. I think we've gone over quite a bit of what Humanode is, what it does, and what your goals are. So why don't we start talking about some synergies that we might have with Galactica? Because that's something that a lot of our budding citizens would probably be very interested in. So I'm not sure. You say you can you can pretty much export your biometric Sybil resistance. Can you give us a couple of quick examples and how you might try to integrate with another protocol?
Yeah, sure. So currently, one of the products that we developed on top of our tech, which really is gaining traction, is the integration with Discord, where you can prove the person is unique and real without knowing who he is in the context of the whole Discord, and basically any server can utilize that. This is really helpful in bootstrapping your kind of community pre-mainnet launch, I would say, and pre-token launch. Because, well, basically you have Sybil attacks, the same attacks when you're pretending you're 100 of people that are running the testnet, using your testnet and are waiting to be rewarded for it, for example, right? And this is what we can help with, figuring out who are real humans in your community and who is just trying to Sybil farm you in order to get a lot of tokens, dump it to the market, and go away, never come back. And, well, it's also not really healthy for the community because you can have a lot of traction, but eventually you don't have users. We've seen projects who have 1 billion USD in total value locked, while they have around 100 users. And yeah, you can't really develop your community on the user base like that. We have helped so far Say Network, for example, they had 5 million accounts on their testnet, and they just wanted to figure out how many users they really have, and they wanted to have chats inside Discord, channels inside Discord server with only real humans inside to make the communication more healthy and things like that. So that was huge. We figured out there are just about 200,000 instead of 5 million users. So like how much is that? Over 90% of it are Sybil farmers, you see, who are trying to subvert your rating system. And moreover, we can help with like if you want to reward your user for something, you can reward only real unique users. And if you want to hear the voice of your community, exactly inside of the Discord, you can add, for example, the voting bot, and it will work together with the Humanode bot basher, because it bashes all the bots, despite the fact that it's a bot itself. And basically have one person, one vote.
So meta.
Have one person, one vote community signaling, which is really helpful because, well, sometimes even as a founder, you don't know whether you're taking the right decision, whether the community will accept it or not. And we had moments like that even like before mainnet launch, and we just asked our community members, real ones, and they voted totally in favor of our idea, and we did it. And it was really surprising for us that they supported us, but it was really good that we checked it, and yeah, we were aligned, and that's what any community can do.
Oh my God, Victor, do you want to say to us that any DAO voting in the absence of Sybil resistance is a shit show?
Any voting without Sybil resistance
Any DAO voting
is it's capitalistic decision making. It's not a shit show. It's just, well, totally dependent on capital, and they don't hear their community at all. They just don't even pretend they hear it, So they just decide
But do you
everything,
think,
yeah, themselves in the group of 10 people probably, and that's it.
but do you think that maybe these 10 people have much more at stake, so they presumably have like some rights for a higher voting power?
That's true, but at the same time, they can be biased and take the decisions that will give them even more power or benefits, while their real community, the small token holders, will be wrecked by this decision. And this happened many times.
Got it. But do you know this? Look, I'm just being devil's advocate here, right? So do you know the best argument against democracy by Winston Churchill?
Of course. Of course I do.
Yes. Whoever doesn't know, please check it on Google. It's a good
Yes.
one. So what are you gonna
Yeah, what we're going to
what
do
are you
about
gonna
it?
say to
Well,
that?
ranking system, of course, ranking system. So you can't just give a voice to anybody who comes, because it's also a vector of attack. Because you can find in the streets 1,000, 2,000 real people, pay them 20 cents in developing countries, and they will do whatever you tell them online. So you have to have a ranking system in order to divide the voting power and decision making, more or less, in order to have a veto on some decisions, or in order to, for example, not let newcomers propose crucial things that can influence, for example, your whole DAO structure. Yep.
Are we talking something about Web3 kind of analogy of reputation
Yes,
in the
exactly.
real world?
Reputation, credentials.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So basically meritocratic systems, right?
Meritocratic, and not only. I mean, it should be based both on intelligence and on the contribution at the same time.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, so basically, Chuck, I see you raised your hand. Just give me a sec, just to make a small conclusion here. It's a very important idea that in Sybil resistant systems, you can have meritocracy, and basically, with me asking questions, Victor just now explained the whole logical sequence from the idea of you having perfect democracy, which is not a good thing, by the way, to you having meritocracy, which is something closer to some utopic concept of Brave New World.
Yeah,
Just wanted to highlight this.
that's right.
Chucky, can you speak up, bro?
Yeah, Chucky, you have the floor. I don't know if anyone else can actually hear you, Chucky, but I certainly can't. So do you want to check your mic
Hey guys,
until
can
you
you hear
can
me?
speak?
No, it's good.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. So my question is actually to Humanode. So I'm curious about the Humanode governance system, because I mean I kind of read somewhere that the validators who run the nodes actually have the decision to make authority. So then I mean what happens to community members who basically have no nodes? I mean how then do they get the say basically on the platform? And also with regards to your collective authority, could you elaborate more on that and how it works within Humanode?
Of course, that's a great question, and my co-founder Dato put a lot of thought with his political science background into it. And what we figured out is that we have humanoids. Everyone has one vote. However, there are certain restrictions to what you can propose in the DAO, and it depends on the rating system, which is based on proof of time, as in time you were validating on the chain and time you were governing inside the DAO. If you're not an active governor or validator, you basically are not gaining your rank. And over time, while you're gaining it and you're also contributing to the DAO, you get proof of devotion. And this is how the rating system works. You get on top of it if you have more proof of time, of validation, voting, but more importantly, real contribution in terms of business development and development of the protocol. And basically, throughout time, while you continue to do that, you're getting a higher tier in the DAO. So basically, the tier, it gives you rights to propose crucial things in the protocol, like the change of consensus in the protocol, like the change of cryptographic system, or the meta changes, like the changes of the rules of the DAO itself. And unless you haven't been for a long time and you didn't contribute anything, you still can vote, but you cannot propose any changes on a higher level.
I hope that satisfied you. In fact, I think you've already dropped down from the speaker panel. Fair enough. So that was a great answer, Victor. Before we move on to the next hands, I would just like to quickly do a small reset of the space, just to keep everyone informed. Elon Musk, he's finally allowed us to have a pinned tweet today, which is wonderful. So if you could just check out the pinned tweet that I've just put up in the Jumbotron there. This is for our cyberstate campaign for Galactica Network. All you need to really do is just join Discord to get involved. All the instructions are in the pinned tweet there, and you can actually become one of our earliest citizens by following this campaign, just doing a bit of interaction on Discord and following the quest line that we put up there. In addition, if you could drop down and give us a like and a retweet on this space, it would be very helpful. So we have a couple more hands up today. So perhaps we'll go to Nadia. I think you were next. Sorry, Mike, did you have something to say beforehand?
Okay. Hi, good
Nadia,
evening.
go.
Greetings, everyone. Thanks for this opportunity. Can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
So my question is, how do you manage multiple accounts by user? Do you have a mechanism used to check it, or through an AI?
Okay, yeah. So let me speak for Humanode first, but I would really also want to hear it from Galactica side as well, because I don't know all the details that you've developed so far. Basically, first of all, we have private confidential biometric checks. That's basically the tech that Humanode is focusing, besides the blockchain itself. And it means that, well, we can, with very high confidence, I mean, the error rate is 1 in 125 million people, tell that you're a unique person without taking any of your personal data. And the data that we take is still anonymized, and it's sent to encrypted servers that nobody can get into. And yeah, there are two parts of it. We check whether you're unique, and at the same time, we check if you're a real human being. And of course, there is an issue where, for example, somebody can go around his neighborhood and scan the faces of other humans. And for this reason, we put an expiry date on our chain to your kind of biometric identity, where you have to re-authenticate every week. And you also have to vote, right? And it becomes really hard to, well, for one person to pretend many and sustain all these real physical humans in his hands. And it's actually illegal at the same time.
Oh, wonderful. Let me firstly ask you a couple of questions. So about servers, by the way, could you maybe give some details on that side? Because yeah, that's the real interesting part of the I mean, interesting to anyone.
Okay, let me tell you shortly the data flow. On the client side, like on your mobile device, for example, there is a 15-second session video feed when you scan your face, during which we also take liveness data, meaning that there is no human being alive in front of the camera, or just a photo, or it's a doll, it won't go through. So locally on your phone, Humanode Tech extracts like 3D template of your face, which can only be reversed back to your face if you hack the neural network code somehow. Then what happens? We encrypt it locally on your device. So already anonymized 3D face template is encrypted locally, and then it's sent to the network of secure enclaves. It's like confidential computing environment. The cool thing about it is that these servers, they have encrypted memory. So we don't actually store this info. It's just kept in the memory of the servers. These servers are run by people chosen by a DAO. Not like hundreds of them, because the servers are pretty heavy and costly, but like 20 of them. And basically, the person launching the server, of course, like he has the key to the server when he launches it. But then, once the server is launched, it rotates the key itself so that nobody, only the server itself, only the hardware itself knows the key from decrypting and like the encrypted 3D faces in order to compare them. Okay, this was like maybe a little bit hardcore, so if you have questions, please go ahead.
And so basically the data is stored locally, right? And so basically then it's encrypted and a hash or some other kind of like product of encryption goes onto the servers, right?
Well, it's encrypted, anonymized 3D template. So it doesn't look like a face, but it has like points from your face that that help our servers distinguish one person from another. So the initial data is destroyed on the local device. This is right.
Wonderful. Got it. Yeah, so I guess let me also say a couple of things about, because it's a real good question as to how you distinguish between, like, you know, people who just were picked from the street, etc. So my answer is I will explain how Galactica handles this, but before I do, I want to kind of like give more of a bit of a philosophical point here. I think it's very important to understand what Sybil resistance really means, like an actual formal definition. And I think that the Sybil resistance is really the inverse of the cost of the Sybil attack, right? So, and basically it is not possible, as we see with you know, even financial institutions from traditional finance that are super strict on all of the KYC, AML, and all the other know your business measures. Even they frequently fail in verifying the you know, the real human, and likewise they are to some extent victims to Sybil attack in some particular narrow sense.
Yeah, like Coinbase, for example, if we are being close to crypto.
Yes, and other beautiful platforms like that. And so basically the way I understand it is that the only thing you can do with biometrics, with zero-knowledge KYC, or pretty much with any other method, you can only bootstrap the Sybil resistance. So basically you can make it just much more complicated to create accounts or to create IDs or whatever your system entity is that responds to a human. And then the real weight of bootstrapping Sybil resistance is allowing people to generate their Web3 footprint, their reputation, in other words, and then earning reputation on chain and verifying that you have done actions XYZ, you have been on this network and with this community for the last year or so, 5 years, whatever. This is already really impossible to replicate. And so the Sybil resistance at the point of your network, when it has community and this community has been there and active for the last 1 year, that Sybil resistance is already almost impossible to break, because it's super costly to generate another account, which is 1 year old. And that's why, for example, on Bitcoin Talk, back in the back in 2000, I don't know, 16, 17, during the ICOs, when there was a huge demand for Bitcoin Talk accounts with X Karma or Bitcoin Reddit with X Karma, whatever. So that's why people were paying huge amount of money for those accounts, because it's just impossible to replicate unless you hack into the back end, of course, of the thing. So that's why my answer to this question is that there is no way to prevent Sybil attacks, but the network with really strong Sybil resistance is that which is, you know, which has an active community for a long time. So yeah, that I think is the thing. And by the way, the cool term, which you can use maybe in a bar with with friends or something, is persistent identity. So persistent identity is this kind of like on-chain representation of a real human, which is a result of these once-person actions and history of interactions with the protocol. Now, in terms of Galactica, we're doing the same, but with KYC. So the design is very similar, in fact. So KYC is performed off-chain with some of the entities that you anyway have your KYC with. I mean, let's be fair, out of all the people on the space, how many of you really don't have an account with one of the exchanges, brokers, wallets, or any other place like this? So, I mean, I'm sure there are a couple of very stubborn cypherpunks who don't, but vast majority of people do. So basically, the idea is that you pass the KYC with one of those providers, and then what you do is that you store the root of a Merkle tree, each leaf of which contains data from your document, and this document can be your passport, can be your KYC docs, or it can be pretty much any other real-world document, for that matter, that can be verified with a notary. You store the hash, and then basically you can prove that you know some secret, which is, for example, concatenation of several fields of your document, and that you basically know the secret. And so the cool thing about this design is that the KYC people who have done the KYC on you, they don't know which account which account belongs to the person with these documents. And this is the coolest stuff, because basically if you are using a centralized exchange, let's say, then your privacy guarantees when you are using Bitcoin blockchain or Ethereum blockchain or any other blockchain are lower than those of Galactica with the zkKYC, which is quite a funny and very counterintuitive thing, that how can a KYC with the blockchain kind of like give you more security assurances. But the idea is that, there is no way of connecting your address or set of addresses on a blockchain and the set of documents, which is obviously not the case with you using Bitcoin, let's say from Binance. Of course, they know where you withdraw and what do you do afterwards, unless you use mixers. So hope this makes sense.
It's one of the really beautiful things about ZK, about zero knowledge cryptography. You can prove so much without having to give away your privacy. So yeah, we've had this fantastic description of zkKYC on Galactica Network, and just for reference, guys, those two things that we've previously discussed, the zkKYC and the persistent identities, both work together on Galactica Network to provide like the sum total of the Sybil resistance, which also itself, because of the increasing complexity of these persistent identities over time, it just becomes the Sybil resistance just goes up over time, and it becomes, as Sarv just said, almost impossible to break. So I think it might be a good idea to move on to, as we're currently at the top of the hour. So what we'll do is we'll just give you guys a quick reminder. So we have a pinned tweet at the top of the space. This is for our Cyberstate campaign. I thoroughly recommend you just take a look at the information in that tweet and make sure you join our Discord if you do nothing else. This campaign, it allows you to basically earn various rewards and benefits for helping out the protocol in this very early stage of our development. If you just complete a few quests, you do a few things for us, then you can earn various rewards, from simple things like Discord perks, all the way up to Galactica Network citizenships, like direct access and access to various waves of distribution. So it's very valuable. It's very useful. I thoroughly recommend you have a look. Take a little, just give us a little a like and a retweet on the space as we carry on here, and we'll move on. Victor, Sarv, so we have a couple of I think we've come up with a couple of possible synergies between Humanode and Galactica, specifically some of them to do with the Cyberstate campaign. Could we have a bit of an explanation of that?
Yeah, I can start, because I just was following Galactica and I saw that you guys preparing with Zili, and it worked out perfectly because we did that Discord integration while Zili natively takes the Discord roles, right? And then you can have some awesome ranking from the Galactica community at the same time, right? And basically, I came out to Sav to ask, how about if you want to give some awesome ranking to one of your members, you at the same time maybe want to know they're unique human beings. So this was my initial idea in order to help the guys bootstrap community.
Yeah, so basically, let me maybe jump in. So I was thinking about three different things. One of them, yes, I have seen your success, and by the way, congrats on say campaign in particular, on some of the earlier ones as well. So basically, I've seen the numbers that you guys are posting in your socials about the number of actual users that have passed through the verification on different networks, and it's actually cool. I think like your servers must be frying. So
No,
it's kind of cool.
200,000.
So
we were preparing for that. We can handle millions, at least.
good. So okay, not Facebook load yet, but it's getting there. I got it. So all right. So the first thing is that yes, I mean clearly in Cypher State campaign we're giving out citizenships. Citizenships of Galactica are valuable items. We don't want to be subject to Sybil farming. Clearly, that sucks. And so basically, one of the ways for our beloved community members to verify that they're unique humans will be through bot basher. So that's a yes. That's a cool idea. So so the second thing which I was just wondering is that, I mean, like, you know, we have done research into Sybil resistance and into all of these DSOC concepts, I guess, and the governance frameworks that are possible with Sybil resistance. We have done quite much of that. I'm sure you have done quite much of that as well. So potentially we could maybe merge create or forge like a research unit where we would maybe create a post or two per month, or maybe even three if lucky, on some of the concepts around Sybil resistance. There is a lot of cool documentation on our end. I'm reading your content. I am the subscriber of Paradigm since a very long time. So what do you say about that?
Yeah, that's a great idea because as I told you, I've met founders in crypto who don't know what Sybil resistance is. So people really need to understand its concept more because it can make our space much more human inclusive, I would say, not just capital inclusive.
Yeah, I'm like, I can go as far as to say that actually Sybil resistance is the Kickstarter of the next big wave in crypto. So there was monetary institution, Bitcoin, and its acceptance. That was the first wave. There were financial institutions, Ethereum, and basically DeFi wave. That was the second big wave, and ICOs maybe before that. And basically the social primitives is the next big thing that's going to happen. And social primitives are only possible with Sybil resistance. So that's quite a it's quite an important topic to let people know, I guess.
It should be very much
Sounds really good.
that Sybil resistance really enables so much more to happen on chain. Like I'm sure you guys could both describe it better than me, but the fact is that you could create anything that you can think of that has any social component, your DAOs, your governance, any social structure can be either emulated or made better on chain with Sybil resistance. So it's incredibly important for, like, we're all, I'm pretty sure most of us in this room will be aware that, you know, most DAOs as they currently stand are simple, you know, the governance is based on simple financial transactions, which is no use at all. You can't just have, you know, whoever has the most tokens have the most voting power. That's just not a good way of doing things at all. It's not in any way equitable. So having Sybil resistance on chain means that you get more features, you get better DeFi, you get better DAOs, you get better governance.
Sorry, I guess just a concluding thought about this. I'm a bit of, well, how to say, there are good things you can say about the one token, one vote systems, which are prevalent in current DAOs. I mean, people who have the most at stake presumably should have the biggest voting power. So that kind of makes sense. And I mean, I don't want to give like just some random people like a lot of proportional voting weight if, they haven't been so financially engaged with the project. So, but the thing is that hybrid
Yep.
schemes is the cool stuff. Yes. So when you have your social input, if you have contributed, you cannot buy a lot of tokens, but you can contribute socially a lot, and this feeds into your like subsequent voting power, and then you can generate various hybrid formulas for your voting power. Then this is the real deal, and this is much cooler than even whatever we have in traditional world.
Yeah,
Given the power of
that's
blockchains.
true. I can give a example right away. I mean, you have a lot of at stake if you have capital, right? If you bought these tokens. However, if you borrowed them 1 hour before, like getting to vote with all these tokens, with your 51% attack on a DAO, and deciding on whatever you want, well, you didn't have that much at stake because you just borrowed them, and the possibility that in 1 hour the rate of the token will drop significantly is pretty low. So in order to protect from this, you need to separate the voting power at least 50-50. 50% goes to democracy. Well, ideally not pure democracy, but meritocracy. And 50% could still be in the hands of token-weighted DAO, just because most of the DAOs were bootstrapped like that, and VCs would be really angry with what we're doing here.
Yeah, I can actually have a cool formula for you, like a cool thesis. Your voting power function needs to be logarithmic in your wealth and exponential in your contribution. And then you have some weights between these two parts of the
Sounds
function.
cool. Yeah. That's a great formula. I would love to see it in action.
I can show you at least the math for now. Yes, but the action also is going to come quite soon.
Absolutely fantastic, guys. So I just want to give one last call. If anyone would like to jump up and have a question, please just give a request. But we are going to be winding down pretty soon. We've had an absolutely amazing space. We've had some wonderful input from Sarvodaya, co-founder of Galactica Network, and Victor from Humanode. We've learned an awful lot. We've learned a lot about Sybil resistance, why it's important. And we've learned a lot about the social side of blockchain, which is going to be increasingly important over time. What I think we'll do is just Sav or Victor, do you have some final thoughts while I just see if there's anyone else who has a question?
Okay. Well, I mean, I would usually say that guys become a Humanode and feel how it works, protecting the security of blockchain by your own physical existence. But at the same time, I would say just type into Twitter Sybil resistance every other day, and you will you will probably find more and more projects working on this. And well, if you don't have a few millions of dollars, you would really feel yourself at home with projects who focus on Sybil resistance and humans, and you would be much more happy with crypto with us than with the projects we've seen emerging over the last 5 years, who are basically getting as over financialized as our world.
Damn, bro, that's actually a good one. Yeah, that actually makes sense. Let me also, I guess, give a couple of final notes. I mean, I wouldn't be able to say it better than you did. So, yes, the Sybil resistance the Sybil resistant projects are much closer to the concept of a family than whatever non-Sybil resistant projects try to make them look like themselves. Look like. So yes, that's one very important thing. don't forget that family is a social institution, and social institutions are only possible in Sybil-resistant setups. So the other very important thing, I guess, is that, Victor, I'll be happy to invite you maybe like in a week or so or two to discuss the concept of network states, because that's like a super interesting stuff. Basically, if you can kickstart your startup in the ether of cyberspace, then why can you not do the same with a country, right? So the whole Balaji's thesis on that, and that's super interesting because it's the most.
I
the
haven't read
I've
the book, but well, I will try.
I can read it actually. It's super well written, like simple, cool. For those who don't know, thenetworkstate.com. Take a look, cool stuff. Top stuff. So thank you everyone for being with us. That's super cool. Join the Cypher State campaign.
I couldn't say it better myself. So yeah, guys, this is just the absolutely amazing stuff that's coming from both Galactica Network and Humanode. True Sybil resistance, true Sybil resistance on chain. It really does enable so much, and it just allows you to do so much more on chain with your social capital rather than just your financial capital. It's the next stage in blockchain, and we're really looking forward to bringing that future forward. So I'd like to just say, everyone, thank you very much for those of you who came up on stage and asked their questions. Really appreciate that, and to our wonderful speakers. I just want to remember that this is actually one of 2 spaces that we host every week. So we'd be absolutely thrilled to see you on our other one. That one would be our Into the Cypher State podcast. That's every Tuesday at the same time at 8 o'clock UTC. You are currently listening to the Galactica Corecast, which is our community podcast in which we say hi to some of our partners as well, such as Victor. Thank you very much for coming, Victor. I just want to make sure that you please check the pinned tweet. I can't say it enough, and I'm sure you're sick of hearing it. But it's really important because Galactica Network is currently in a very early development stage. We've only just released our DevNet. So for any developers in the audience, please, you want to check that out. Just go to galactica.com, check on the DevNet page. At this very early stage in our development, we are looking for people to prove themselves as dedicated and loyal, and we are looking to reward those dedicated and loyal people. You are essentially the pioneers of our protocol. So you will eventually be the very first citizens of our protocol, which is a huge deal. There's never really been a protocol citizenship before, and you are capable of earning that status by entering the Cypher State campaign linked in the pinned comment. So the very first step for that is to join Discord. So if you do nothing else after this space, please just check out either our profile or the pinned tweet and join our Discord. You'll be able to find everything from there. You'll be able to say hi to the team. Sarv's in there. I think Victor's in there as well. So you'll be able to speak to everyone who's on the panel right now, as well as the rest of the team. So that's pretty much everything from us, guys. Just make sure you visit the website at galactica.com or thecypherstate.com if you're interested in just more details and more information about the Cypher State campaign. Don't forget to drop a like and a retweet on the space on your way out, please. It really still helps with the algorithm and getting more people to enjoy the replay. So thank you very much, Sarv, Victor. Thanks so much for coming, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, guys.
It was awesome.
It was awesome having you, Victor. It really was.
Okay, everyone. Well, thank you very much for joining us, and we hope to see you on the next episode of Galactica Corecast. Have a great weekend, everybody.